Are you ready? Good evening. I'd like to call the East Cocalico Township Board of Supervisors meeting for Thursday, August 19th, 2021 to order. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would ask everyone to please double check their cell phones and electronic devices, make sure they're on vibrate or that they're off. Our Thursday, August 19th Board of Supervisors meeting was duly advertised in accordance with the second-class township code in the Lancaster newspaper on December 23rd of 2020. There was an executive session that was held yesterday on August 18th for personnel and legal matters. Let me make also one announcement. Ken, I think we're having some technical difficulties, so for people who are joining us via Zoom, I think you can hear us clearly. However, we cannot hear you at this time, so if you have any questions or anything, we would ask you to put those in the chat on Zoom, and then Ken will read those out. Okay? I have a letter here to read from Edward McConus, which reads as follows. To Mike Teschen and the East Cocalico Township Board of Supervisors, first and foremost, I have enjoyed leading and working as a committee member of the ECT P&R Board, Park and Rec Board. We, as a board, municipality and township, have overcome much in 2021, accomplishing a lot in a very short amount of time, which has benefited our children, families, and community. Next, I am very sorry that of January 6th have brought so much attention to our township. Hopefully, there is a silver lining and we can use this attention for good and the betterment of our community. Lastly, after speaking with my wife and friends, I have decided to take a leave of absence from the Park and Rec Board effective today, 8/19/2021, and will not participate in any Park and Rec Board activities or programs until further notice, with the hopes to return at a later date. Our township has a lot on its plate, serving its constituents already, not needing any additional distractions due to my actions. Thank you for your consideration and for the opportunity to serve our community. Eddie Nicolaus. So that's meeting minutes from the last meeting. Do you want to do that now, or do you want to jump right to the agenda? Okay. So we have a representative, Jennifer from Mayor Dussel, who's here to talk about our recent 2020 municipal audit.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to provide some audit results for your 2020 audit. So the audited financial statements are under the modified cash-based accounting, and the financial statements are just the DCD report. That's the required schedule that has to be submitted online to DCD. In order to meet the financial reporting requirements of Pennsylvania, the schedules have to be prepared in accordance with the instructions of DCD. This is different than what is called accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America, which is GAAP. So based upon that, we apply on the regulatory basis of accounting. So that's what our opinion speaks about. And we do give an unmodified opinion in accordance with the regulatory basis of accounting, and it's the best opinion that the township can receive. And we state that in our opinion, the schedules are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with the instructions designed by DCD. Just to provide some financial highlights, The general fund for 2020 had a net income or an increase in fund balance of $267,000. And some significant changes from 2019 to 2020, just in total general fund revenue, there was a decrease of $1 million. However, in 2019, there was a large real estate transfer tax bump because of the large warehouse sales. So that contributed to the majority of that decrease, as well as there was the new apartment complex that went in, so there was zoning fees that were a lot higher in 2019, and also the land sale took place in 2019. Your total general fund expenses also decreased by $724,000. Along with that decrease in your zoning, there was also an offsetting decrease in your expenses for that larger apartment complex that took place. And in 2019, there was a transfer to the capital reserve fund that did not take place in 2020. The required debt payments were made in 2020 in accordance with the original maturity schedules. Your total outstanding debt as of 12/31/20 is $1.2 million for general obligation notes and $386,000 in capital lease obligations. And there's also some separate required communications that we're supposed to have that we do in form of a letter. It's called the communications letter to those parts of government, just to highlight a synopsis of it. It's the same correspondence we had in the past with the township. We define our responsibility, and our responsibility is to opine on the financial statements. However, it's not really management of their responsibilities for proper reporting. There were no new accounting policies that we had to bring to your attention. There were no significant changes in, there was no lack of authoritative guidance that took place during the year. The transactions were reported properly in 2020, the proper period. The most sensitive estimate was the fair value investments, same as 2019. There were no difficulties in working with management. Judith was properly prepared for us in order to perform our audit procedures. There were no material entries that we had to propose to management and correct. There were no disagreements. We also requested some representations in form of a representation letter from management similar to 2019. There were no consultations with outside accountants that we were aware of. And we generally discuss a variety of matters with management every year prior to retention. However, those discussions are not contingent upon a professional relationship. And then finally, we also issued what's called a management letter. So as part of the audit, we do gain an understanding of the township's internal controls. However, we do not opine on your effectiveness of internal controls. But if we come across anything that would arise to deficiency or best practice recommendations, we do include that in form of this management letter. Now, due to limited staffing and not enough compensated controls, we did provide what's called a significant deficiency over journal entry review and bank reconciliation. So we just recommended that an independent review take place consistently reviewing journal entries, bank reconciliations, and cancel check images. Not that we suspect anything, but our job as auditors is to provide that information to management of those suggestions. And we also provided what's called a best practice recommendation. So this does not arise to a level of significant deficiency. More on the IT front, their information technology, we recommend to have conduct formal cybersecurity training because your employees are going to want defense against cyber attacks. This is a very common comment that we're getting all over municipalities, as well as having a formal signed agreement with your IT service provider. Did anybody have any questions regarding the information, or do you have it in general?
Great. No, not at this time.
Yeah, I just, coming on and giving the audit report back, and I've talked with Judy, and we've begun to start to put in a process to address some of those comments that were in there in regards to the journal entries, the bank reconciliations. The township manager's position being filled would be able to do those verifications and to electronically sign off on those. So that would sort of complete that sort of check and balance as best we can with the limited staff that we have. We have looked into, and Judy, I don't know if you were going to talk tonight on your report, cybersecurity, potential of training cybersecurity wise for staff, and that eventually be presented through the board, and then make sure that we try to address that point as well. And we've begun the efforts to look at getting a signed agreement of some kind with our third-party IT vendor. And that's been an effort so far of just pulling out what we have contracted with them to do and trying to put into an agreement so that it would be acceptable to all and make sure we address that comment. So, from the staff wide, we take these seriously, want to make sure that we're as secure as we can be. And now that we've kind of gone through sort of some changes and new people here, the goal would be to get these addressed before we get into obviously next audit.
Great. We look forward to the next year's audit.
Earlier this week or last week, there was, I don't know, the third or fourth largest wireless carrier who said they were hacked to 10, 20 million accounts. We've seen major department stores get hacked for 40 million accounts, etc. What are you recommending that we can put in place and actually have some faith in? I mean, here are these multi-billion-dollar companies putting things in place to patch you results with all. What, you have any suggestions or recommendations or what?
Yes, the biggest thing is training your employees what to not click on, because a lot of these attacks or phishing schemes, an email that looks legitimate. We even received them, and our IT department sends out fake emails to see if they made us and click on something. So the number one thing is to train your employees on what looks suspicious, how to identify those suspicious emails, so they're not just automatically clicking on something. That's what we're recommending to all of our municipalities, is cybersecurity training. And I know our firm, we use a third party to do those annual trainings. We do them twice a year. It's a 20-minute program, and just walks you through it. It's all electronic.
So just out of interest in that vein, what are you seeing the most? Is it actual hacks for information, or is it actually the ransomware?
It's a little bit of both, because a lot of the times they're in one. And a constant updating and patching for your IT.
Okay. Anything else?
No, thank you.
Great,
very
thank
much.
you so much.
Thank you.
Right, moving on to past meeting minutes for approval. These are the meeting minutes from Thursday, August 5th. Any additions, corrections, questions?
Yeah, on page 4, at the very end, the motion to adjourn, it says 11:25 PM. That was a morning meeting that should be made. All I had.
Okay, so do I have a motion to approve those minutes with the correction as stated?
Yes, I'll make that.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, motion carries. Okay, land planning. Casey.
Two easy financial security reductions tonight. The first one is for Cocalico Community Church. We did receive as-built plans a couple weeks ago, July 26th. I was out there August 17th, reviewed the as-built plans, reviewed the site, issued an email review to the church's consultant. Based on my review of the as-built, my review of the site, there are two motions before you. First one, motion to authorize a $42,174 reduction in the current financial security being held by the township for the Cocalico Community Church stormwater management plan, resulting in the remaining financial security to be held by the township being reduced to $1,000. In the second motion, to authorize the full release of the $1,000 remaining security for the Cocalico Community Church stormwater management plan upon the applicant and applicant's consultant addressing the items identified in the Becker email dated August 18th, 2021. To satisfaction of township zoning officer, and township engineer. And just real quick background, the reason we set them up that way is so they get a large chunk of their money back. And then essentially, once they fix those items, it doesn't have to sit through another board meeting, and they can just go to the township staff and us and be released. So when we structure motions that way, that's why there's two. That's why there's one, reducing it to a much lesser amount, and then the second one, release contingent upon addressing those minor comments.
Is there anyone here representing that?
I don't think so.
You didn't expect anything? Okay. Do I have a motion for that, Chairman?
Yeah, I will make that motion as read.
And I will second that.
We'll do both separately.
We'll do both seconds.
So you guys motion as read, be the first, the 42,000 to the 1,000. That's okay.
So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries. So now we'll do second motion.
You do the second motion, yeah?
Yes,
That motion to authorize full release of the $1,000 remaining security for the Cocalico Community Church stormwater management plan on the applicant consultant addressing the items identified in the Becker engineering review letter, email rather, dated August 18th, 2021, to satisfaction of the township zoning officer, and township engineer.
and I will make that motion as well. Second, motion in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries.
Okay, the second project will be the Mark Weaver Evergreen Acres stormwater management plan. We did receive as-bills and a release of financial security request from the applicant consultant dated July 29th. We conducted a site observation on August 11th, issued the review email on August 13th, 2021, summarizing the findings, and recommend the following motion. That motion would be to authorize a $16,440.25 deduction in the current financial security being held by the township related to Mark Weaver stormwater management plan, resulting in the remaining security being held by the township to $16,158.71.
Is there anyone representing that one? No? Okay. Do I hear a motion for that?
So approve the findings correct in the motion.
And I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, motion carries.
And that is all from me tonight to the engineer reports.
Short one. Thank you, Casey. Okay, so the next item is the Village of East Cocalico reduced traffic impact assessment.
Yeah, this is more of just a procedural item. The traffic impact assessment for the Village of East Cocalico subdivision and development plan has been reviewed by the township's transportation engineer. They didn't have any comments. There was no turn lanes requirement, no queue issues, site distances were acceptable. They confirmed that there was no crossover traffic from the village at East and 196 Swartzville. Those will likely cancel each other out, so none of that needs to be included in the respective studies. And there's no concerns regarding site distance in that calculation. So as part of that review, PennDOT just asked the applicant to provide an acknowledgement letter from the township indicating as much. So the motion that we have tonight is to authorize the township manager to send a letter acknowledging that the township has reviewed the traffic impact assessment for the village at East Cocalico final subdivision and land development plan, and confirming that the township does not have any additional comments concerning the TIA, traffic impact assessment.
And are there any questions? Okay, so I will make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. That motion carries. Thank you. Red Run exhaust.
Yep, this project, township had received a request from Kendall Burkholder from the Red Run Exhaust of Reevestown concerning his traffic impact fee for the property at 1313 North Reading Road. And he's requesting permission to make quarterly payments on this fee over the next 2 years, with the first installment being paid when the building permit is picked up. Again, this falls within sort of the practice of what we've been doing, limiting it to 2 years. But we've seen in the course of the last month, one wants to do it monthly, one's asking to do it quarterly. It's not a big issue. Quarterly is obviously less payments than monthly. So you do have a motion to approve the request from Kendall Burkholder to pay the required traffic impact fee of $30,200 for the Red Run Exhaust of Reevestown project, 1313 North Reading Road, quarterly over the next 2 years, with the first quarterly payment of $3,775 being paid at the time that the building permit is issued.
These payment schedules, we have done this many times in the past.
Yes.
Any questions? Okay, do I have a motion?
On so much.
Do I have a second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Motion and second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none. That motion carries. Okay, the last one I have here is Township 2021 Summer Fall Newsletter. Approval for the printer.
Article on the
Yeah,
newly appointed chair township manager, page 2, in case the public was looking for it.
but it's only secondary to the supervisor that was going on.
That's right.
Mr. Eversole. I believe there's more.
You see what order it did, so I understand.
If you have a bird cage, you need a liner. Good to go.
I did not see any errors. I didn't see. I didn't have anything that ever changed. Gentlemen,
Yeah, they're, as usual, Lisa does a good job of putting things together, but keeping them organized. I saw no problems.
so this one will be, when it's finally printed, it's going to be 8 pages in color again. So, right, so I will make a motion to approve the 2021 Summer Fall Newsletter for the township and forward to the printer we have used, which is Little Mountain Printing for printing and mailing. With the specific guidelines that the print is in color, glossy paper. It's mailed to the residents. We have approximately 3,500, 38 addresses, 330 box holders, and 100 extra to be delivered to the township to have them in various areas for people to pick up. So grand total for the newsletters to actually print is just shy of 4,000. It's 3,968. So again, I'll make that I'll repeat the motion to approve the 2021 Summer Fall Township Newsletter and forward it to Little Mountain Printing for printing and mailing. Do I have a second?
Yeah, I will second that.
Okay, motion and second. Any questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none. Motion carried. Send it to printer. Next item, department reports, chief.
Car 9 is back in service. It was involved in a accident, crash. An individual went through a red light and the officer took basic action, impacted the curb. Initially thought it was just a bent tire, it ended up being $2,600 worth of damage underneath. So it's been taken care of by our insurance company, and they will attempt to recoup the $500 from the private insurance company. So that's back in service. Al's service center, Al's garage took care of that. A few other things. Help Lisa Cashman. Police intercept utility placed on municipals with the I wouldn't call it craziness, but with everything going on in the township for the last few months, that kind of got pushed to the bottom of the list. Pictures were taken to be put on municipal before I went on vacation. When I got back from vacation, it was put on municipal and it's currently in the auction. So hopefully that will be removed short time after the auction is concluded. There are 7 speed details held since the last report I gave. 2 details were in Denver and 5 in East Cocalico Township, resulting in a total of 142 citations issued to drivers. That does not include the everyday patrol, traffic stops, and citations of warnings, written warnings that occurred within the month. So that's just the speed details for the last 4 weeks. In July, we had 11 DUI on view arrests. That is nearly double of what we had in June. So fortunately, none of crashes. That is just from officer proactive patrol going out in the month of July and stopping drivers who are impaired. So we continue with our well-deserved and I think very good reputation of don't drive drunk to East Cocalico or impaired. Drunk or under the influence of something else. In regards to National Night Out, Judy was kind enough to give me a report in a reference to the expenditures and donations. So for National Night Out, which again I heard was a smashing success, we took in a total of amazing total of $7,740 in donations. That is from the businesses within East Cocalico and Denver Borough. We had a total expenditure, this is as of yesterday, of $7,209.02. So revenues over expenses is $530.98. And with that money, since it was donated and to avoid carryover issues and anything like that, it was donated for National Night Out. Our plan is to use that $530 to buy things for next year's National Night Out, which would be, and or crime prevention things which occur throughout the year. So that's the plan for those monies. But again, it was a tremendous night. There were probably 1,000+ people there, and it was no money out of the taxpayer-funded budget for the police department. So I was very thrilled and happy. The generosity throughout the community is amazing. And finally, I want to remind everyone to keep in mind that school is in session next Tuesday. So there's going to be school zones that are 50 miles an hour when the flashes are flashing. They're going to be kids going everywhere, buses driving everywhere. So keep that in mind so we can keep everyone safe.
Any questions for the chief?
Yeah, I would be beneficial to acknowledge the businesses that
If you want, I can.
for next meeting. If
I have it right here. All right,
So
so,
truly community supported both financially and in attendance.
okay, so Adams Antiques Fratelli's Diner, Art Pennebaker and Brian Wolf Auctioneers, Blue Ridge Cable, Bob Reinier Builders, Champion Home Builders, Cocalico Area Hearing Services, Cocalico Plumbing and Heating, Country Hair Studio, Courtyard Cafe in Maine, Creekside Dental, Denver Beer Distributor, Dogwood Farm Market, E&M Trucking, Eagle Rental, Edwards Electric, Good Simple Funeral Home, Harding Yost Insurance, Heck Construction, Ingham's Regrouping Service, I think that's probably part of the LNF Fratelli's Incorporated, Matt Williams, State Farm Agent, Randall E. Foltz, Williamstown Athletic Association, Roseboro Stradlin Funeral Home, Salon MJM, Steffi Concrete, Stoner Industrial Service, Timber Tech Engineering, Under Insurance Agency, Fuller and Franklin PC, that's the dentist office, Whitmer Moyer Service, and Woodcrest Transportation. And if anyone was missed, I truly apologize, but that is, I believe, a thorough report.
Thank you. There was a question from the audience.
On the speed
I'm sorry,
details,
sir.
Alan Maxwell,
Thank you.
Meadowbrook. On the speed details, how do you determine where you do them at?
We, from either accidents, speeding complaints, otherwise, that's how we kind of go, and we kind of hit the same spots, not all the time, we do different ones. Denver Borough's a little trying in there to go different spots, but it's mostly from officers, observations on patrol, and also speeding complaints.
Because for 2 years, I've called in speeding complaints on James Drive and Linda Drive, to the point where we've seen sparks flying from cars at the culvert where they've gone that fast. To date, we've not seen one speed detail, one patrol, no signs.
When we do a speed detail, we bring in 3 or 4 officers on overtime, and we try to hit the high traffic areas. To be honest with you, to bring in 4 officers on a speed detail for 2.5 hours, to sit on.
You would more than make your money.
roads. Well, it's not about making money, but it's
But I'm
about.
saying
volume.
it's a 25-mile-an-hour road. It's now being used extensively as a cutover to cut the light, either going to or from, to get around the light. And when you have kids riding bikes, people walking dogs, senior citizens walking along that street more and more and more, cars parking along the street legally, but still narrowing that road even more, somebody's going to get hurt really seriously. And then it's going to be, oh, well, we should have.
Well, I understand that, and I will make note of it and put it out.
Even getting the sign that the township owns put up there reminding people the speed's 25 that flashes at them. Something to at least show they're being proactive with it, because I've seen too many near misses on that road just in the past 2 weeks.
Thank
And I mean, can I propose also maybe putting signs up, no through traffic, to at least put people on notice that this is not an approved cut through?
I would recommend.
We've seen tractor trailers coming through there in the past couple of weeks.
I would not recommend putting signs up that are not enforced. It's not a good practice. I apologize, but that's.
I understand that. It just gets a bit frustrating when you see tractor trailers cutting through there because they don't want to sit at the traffic light because traffic's backed up because traffic's heavy at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Chief Catholic, who's in charge?
I'm sorry.
Who's in charge of Church Street?
I'm sorry, sir. Just your name, so Lisa has it for the meeting minutes. It's easier.
Kerry Haas. Who's in charge of Church Street?
When you say Church Street, what?
From Rangestown up the hill. Who's in charge of that?
I mean, that's PennDOT road, but I mean, we do cover that area as the police department.
Are you allowed to citation people in there?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Well, the tractor trailer is parked underneath the 222 bridges, and that's illegal. That's a federal law. That's a highway watch, which I'm part of. I've called in numerous times. I've called the state police numerous times, and nothing's done about it. ever since the bombing in Oklahoma.
Correct. It's a federal law, so we don't usually get into enforcing the federal laws in reference to that, but I can put it out to patrol and ask if they see it to try to determine either the truck company or the owner and have them park it at a different spot.
I appreciate that, but at least you know about it, but the state police don't know it.
Right, now that's our area, the state police probably would not come into that area to do that, but again, we had a similar complaint on South Muddy Creek. There was an individual that lived in Quail Hollow, and we had a sit down, or at least a conversation with him to not park it there. So I haven't been out on South Muddy Creek lately, but I don't think he parks underneath the bridge anymore. So we can obviously try and determine whose it is and the park.
Well, the traffic, the truck traffic that goes back to their quarries, they're not tarped coming out of the quarries with full loads. They have their mud flaps rolled up, which is illegal, and nothing's ever done. We don't see people being pulled over. When you pass them, I have 2 cracked windshields.
Yeah, there is, and I noticed the lately, I don't know if there's paving jobs going on in other municipalities, but they are leaving the quarry and going out East Church Street. I actually was on patrol this last Friday and noticed the increase when we were out there for a vehicle fire, so there must be something going on there. I
It's paving
understand.
on the turnpike.
We can also have a conversation to have the quarry remind the drivers of their responsibilities, and they're all receptive to us, the quarry is, and the paving plant that's back there. So I can make those phone calls. I can check.
A vehicle parked on the street for 8 or 9 months now, out of inspection.
See, these are the things, where is that at?
6 Horseshoe Drive.
And we were in there not too long ago, and we had 3 cars that were in there, and we had conversations with the owners, and they were in the driveway, but I can, again, send patrol out and have them look at it. You said the inspection's out?
Yes, that's been out for at least 8 months, and there's no registration on the vehicle.
We can definitely deal with that, we do it all the time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to financial administrator report.
Good evening. Okay, so first I'd like to talk a little bit about the budget status report. We're about 2/3 through the year at this point. So looking at the revenues, we're at 79% of revenues currently. And that is real estate transfer taxes. Once again, for the 3rd year in a row, we had a very large real estate transfer tax payment come in for a property that was sold. And that put us over budget. Currently, we're over budget on that line by $112,000, and we still have 4 months to go. We're over budget on local services tax. We did budget that low for 2021. Being concerned about COVID and not sure if the DCED was going to make us reallocate some of that money because of people working at home. That did not affect us, so we're over budget in that area. We got our CARES Act funding. That is not the ARPA funding. ARPA is something different, and that's in a different fund. This is the CARES Act funding that we earned in 2020, we received it in 2021. And then the refunds at the bottom are actually from the insurance cooperative. Because of our health insurance experience, we did get some refunds and they totaled $24,000. So our revenue is tracking ahead of what we expected. For expenses, when you look at expenses, the negative numbers mean that we're over budget on those departments and expenses. But if you look at total expenses, we are at 65% spent. We should be around 66%. So even though some of those particular lines are concerning, in total, we're about where we should be. And if you look at the total, this is just for the general fund. At this point in the year, we're actually 563,000 more in revenues than expenses to date. I also have all the other funds in here if you'd care to look at them, but I won't go over anything unless you have any questions.
Judy, our trend analysis is we're pretty much on par with where we are. If you take a look at the standard deviation as to where we should be.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Any questions for you? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, zoning office report.
I have a copy of the zoning officer report for July 2021. Received 25 building permit applications, 36 permits were issued, 2 are in review, and 16, I guess, are still at the front door waiting to be picked up. They included 4 single-family dwellings, 2 residential renovations, 2 new commercial permits, 3 commercial renovations, and a series of smaller things, deck, patio, fence, solar array, pool, well, service, sign and shed. 16 certificate of occupancies were issued. There were 0 false alarm violations in the last year, in July. All right. And the zoning officer also sent out 6 letters of violation, posted a property on Bill Drive as a dangerous structure, and following a fire on Lake Creek Road. That property also had been posted. And that was submitted by Ed Patton, our interim appointed zoning code enforcement officer. It stays on schedule with what we looked at, what was proposed for each year. So zoning is continuing to be busy as we move through the first 7 months of the year.
Any questions? Right, on to the road department report.
Good evening, guys.
You're next.
All right, roadmaster report. Clean trucks and equipment as needed. Clean roads and drains as needed. Pick up branches following storms on road edges or park locations. Been pretty busy the last couple of days with all the rain. Update on a couple items from last meeting. The woody waste pile, this will be done on, I just spoke to them today, this will be done on Tuesday, August 24th by March, excuse me. Lower pool parking lot, the ash trees to be removed. These trees will be done the week of September 13th. This will be done as soon as the pool closes through Messer Tree Service. They're going to basically close the parking lot and drop the trees at that location. Bathroom remodel, this is basically an item that needs to be hopefully moved forward with tonight. This work will consist of the bathroom remodel at Public Works Highway Shed. We have 3 quotes. At the last meeting, I had kind of pushed off to this meeting because of an emergency with one of the contractors that we had talked, and also as far as getting all of the quotes basically to match as well. So this time we can either go to the bathroom and the chain link at the culverts, or I can go through mine. You want to do this individually or come back to them?
Still individual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now?
Sure, absolutely.
All right. So bathroom remodel, we have three different quotes. Basically the road crew will be helping out in this project. We'll be basically tearing down the initial structure that's there. Also doing some saw cutting, some concrete rip out to allow the new piping put in, and also a SWOR concrete products will be providing the tank on the outside of our building in the cost of $1,866, which includes them to basically come out and set the tank. These three quotes kind of range in price. The two are very competitive. The one's a little higher. This includes basically them to come out and build a new bathroom, as well as installing all the pipe and hooking up the new tank on the outside of my building. The difference between the two in comparable to price, and after I spoke with the one that was a little higher than the other one, the gentleman that I spoke to with it's a $1,200 difference. He would prefer, after talking to his drywall company, that he would like to use the fiberglass commercial drywall on this project because of the diesel fuel, the salt, and the normal surrounding things that go on in that building. He's very detailed, high on quality, and very professional. He's a local guy, very responsive, and also included in that price difference is he would like to paint the product because he takes pride in his work and wants to paint and make sure the project's complete when he leaves. So I'm looking to hopefully get a motion on moving forward with this project, as it's kind of been building up for a long time to get this bathroom redone.
What was the time frame of them being able to start on the job?
So, Ethnic Elite Renovations said probably the end of October, early November. Gross has stated that they can't start until February of 2022. And Dolan, I did not get a confirmation on exactly what his schedule looks like at the moment.
And I guess to Craig's point, a starting date, but then that will be a finish date on that as well within a reasonable time.
A reasonable time, yes.
Is it expected that you could, the tank installation and backfill, that's all your job?
Yeah, that's on us in the township, yes.
And is that something that can be done at the start of the project, or?
Yeah, it can be dug, and then once the place for the tank obviously can be dug at the start of it, and then once they get rolling, I'll basically work with the contractor to know, what kind of time frame he's looking for as far as when I need a saw cut, when I need to, dig out the concrete before you move forward with the project. Well, and that's what I just want to add to that. I mean, he's been, and when I say him, it's definitely Elite. He's been just very detailed, very, very responsive. I mean, you guys have the contract, I mean, he literally lists individual stuff, prints on what he's gonna do. And just like I said, he just very, very detailed, and seems like really wants to work.
It's that would be one of my concerns, is just what you had said, Craig, you get started and you're gonna be there through completion with no defined time.
Did any of them give you a length of job time?
And they did not have that on here right now, no.
And this particular entity said they can start late October.
Early November, yes. Late October, early November. The other one, Gross said February of 2022 at the earliest.
What of February?
February, yes. But
You wanna change it for them, say, okay, November 1 to 12/31?
It would be my thought that this get completed before you get into snow season.
right, and that was my hope as well. Otherwise, we've been pushing off till
On November 1 to 12/15.
What's your estimation in timeframe, get the, dug the tank in, get the piping, put
As long
together,
as-
concrete work? Is that a 2-week project or?
I mean, yeah, I mean, the tank is basically just, that'll take a couple hours to dig that. And maybe a week, week and a half to prep the concrete. Yeah, I would say max 2 weeks.
That's your biggest concern?
Right, because once all that's done, I mean, it's literally just building a new structure and tying in some pipe and,
That could be done.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, the conversation Craig and I are having is requirements for the low bidder. Because the difference in the bids is, you're right, 30,
it's about $1,200.
12 flat.
Yeah.
1,200 flat. The
You
big,
can't do it in this calendar year.
yeah, the big difference is the timeline. So Epinet's saying October
Early,
start.
starting not late October, early November start date.
So let's call it November start date of
Yeah.
2021. And Russ is saying at the earliest February 2022.
Yes.
Beginning of February or end of February? That puts us in the spring.
Yeah, like I said, that he basically just said February 2022 to start.
Yeah, you can't really be doing that with the winter.
Right.
Wouldn't be the proper time to have it done.
Yeah. I don't prefer that at all.
Low bid is generally preferred. But if low bid cannot meet some requirement or requirements that you would like to see, then I don't know that you're locked in. I don't even know that he's going to bid. I believe that they're RFP.
Right.
Correct?
Right.
They're not sealed bids.
Right.
And so we're getting an RFP, which is a different animal. And I think it's been, kicked around or whatever, talked about, et cetera, long enough. And I think we do a disservice to the community if we don't have that till the end of next winter.
Now, in this case, would you guys want to consider two motions? Because we never did take official action for the tank itself, correct? At the last meeting, we talked about it.
We talked about it, yeah. Right.
So if you want to do one to award the contract for this part, and then I think you want to also authorize the tank purchase as well.
I mean, am I correct? This was not a sealed bid.
Right. Yeah, it's not new construction.
Any questions from anyone? Yes, sir.
What's the cost to the, Alan Maxwell, what's the cost to the township gonna be for the work that he was talking about, cutting the floor, setting the tank, cutting through to be able to run the piping compared to what a contractor would charge?
I mean, what's that?
What was that estimate?
The estimate as far as the basically the work that's gonna be done by the township will basically, and after talking with the water and sewer department, they have saws, they have jackhammers and stuff like that, that we were able to use we allow them to use some of our equipment would allow us to use some of their equipment for that work, so we've done during the normal scheduled time of me and my crew.
So you're, how many hours do you think you're gonna assign this? Ballpark, I mean, we can ballpark it.
14 or 40.
No, I would say 20-25.
And unit costs, we just looked at that, do you remember what that would be, the per hour rate?
I hadn't calculated it out yet with benefits and everything.
Okay, so say it's $40, right? What did you say, 25?
Yeah, 20-25.
Whatever that is. And the other quote you got, the one that was 66,000.
Yeah.
That included doing all work? Or
No, that was that has all the work included, but he has subtractions as well. And if we take out all the subtractions to meet these other two quotes, that total was $54,511.
So if you're spending like $1,000-$1,500 to go 4 hours using our own crew to do that.
Right.
We're not gonna get that from a private crew for less than that.
Right.
So.
No, we have no moving fee.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess the tank savings on that was significant too. Wasn't it?
Yeah,
The contractors were quoting over $4,000
$2,500 at least.
to purchase the tank, and
Have them
this way,
say
if we do it, you would said 18.
$1,866.
Yeah, so. Having it as fill-in work for our guys is saving quite a bit of the project.
So what's the wish of the board?
Okay,
Making a motion?
Yes, make a motion that we issue the work order for the bathroom and the road shed to Benetti Elite Restoration. As per the written proposal they have submitted.
Yeah, within NTE not to exceed the quote of $39,955.
Fair enough.
And with a completion date.
I was gonna say, the completion date,
For the completion date of
12/31. Can't put one bathroom in 60 days.
second.
I'll say.
Any other questions, comments? We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries.
Can you, the tank,
Yes, that's,
can you indicate who that is and that cost?
yes, that is SWOR Concrete Products in the amount of $1,866 for the 2,000 gallon storage tank.
so we need a motion.
To award the tank purchase to SWOR in the amount of $1,866 and change.
Just as a clarification item, that will not be purchased in the next 30 days or so.
No, correct.
Or is that price gonna hold?
That is priced as for them to, with tax and basically set.
If there is a.
I mean, no tax, sorry.
We'll have a
Yeah,
chat about that.
yeah.
I mean, that price is good for the
Yes.
60 to 90 day period that we're gonna be looking at.
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Right, if you should, that's a motion, so we have the exact amount there.
Yes, $1,866.
So for $1,866, and you're making that motion.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and I will second that. Any other questions? Paul?
Just for clarity's sake, this bathroom is gonna cost the township approximately $44,000. Ballpark figure between the bid you're approving and the township's cost to install a tank.
Sounds correct, right, more or less, yes.
It will also be utilized by the police department when they're out and about. So,
And that's a budget, right? Yeah, that is a budget.
what budget?
Just out of curiosity, how big is this bathroom?
We have a print, if you want to see it.
Just basic dimensions, like 10 by 10, 10 by 10, okay.
Yes, sir.
Brian Wines, just asking, you have stone figured in that and also your piping and concrete?
The stone will be done by the contractor as well as some of the concrete. And then basically on top of the pipe throughout my floor, we will finish, the road crew will finish the concrete above the pipe, which is also noted in the contract.
That's included in your estimate of hours.
Yes, yep.
It's a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, and that motion carries. So Mike, those are the two motions you needed, or Brett, sorry, Roadmaster.
Yep.
Those are the two you needed then to get you going on that bathroom project.
Absolutely.
After discussing it for a year and a half. 2 years.
Well, you're from me, so,
Budget time.
yes.
Before you go on to the bulk fencing.
Yep.
You said, including taxes. There was an invoice that came through for repair of one of your trucks. That included sales tax.
Okay.
That was deducted out, of course. But as you're dealing with contractors and companies or what have you, remind them that
Absolutely.
we can pay sales tax.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And also be aware that I need to issue a tax exempt certificate. So what I need is the name of the business and their address, and then I can get you that paperwork.
You could go to that puppy
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. All right, to continue, next action item would be the chain link fence at the culverts on Mike Creek near the old homestead development. I had gotten one quote from Effort Agway. His name is Mark Sensitive. Basically met Mark out on site to discuss where the orange snow fence is currently. It's been there for quite a few months now. And just basically picked his brain a little bit to see what kind of ideas he would have, what kind of ideas I had. We basically came up with a 4-foot chain link fence around these structures. He provided two methods of install. One would be basically just taking the fence and putting the post directly in the ground, bordering the culverts itself, or mounting these on top of the culverts using plated posts. There's two prices that are provided. Mounting on top of the curb is $5,270. Around the border using 7-foot posts, 3 foot in the ground is $4,650. This also includes, after talking with the one fire department, he basically has suggested putting a 4-foot wide gate at the one location for emergency purposes in case they would have to tie into the creek. It is a $225 difference in the gate and not having the gate. My strong preference is the gate. I'd rather have the gate there, not need it, than not need it and not have it, or need it and not have it. So the price is there for 230 feet of 4-foot high, 9-gauge galvanized chain link fence with a top rail, and also the 1 4-foot wide gate.
Just, I didn't hear from anyone today. The question is, we did get one estimate and maybe to look to see if we could get another estimate off of this comparable one, and maybe the board may want to consider, if we go to do that, to get at least one other one, at least awarding up to this amount, so that that can happen, and we can move ahead. If we do go get another that comes in higher, we're not waiting another couple weeks to put this temporary fencing up there.
If you put a gate in there, you either have to secure the gate or
This basically, the gate would be installed if it was installed on top of the culvert on one structure.
Right, just for informational purposes, one of the fire chiefs requested it, if they have to go into the creek that they have out, so they can use it as a water supply. So I would think that they would supply the lock for that.
Right.
Keep it secure, so only for their use.
saying, if we put a gate,
Well,
the object is to secure that.
yeah, it would be.
Unlocked gate, yes.
Yeah,
Instead of a key, is it possible? See one of our firefighters go back, shouldn't that have a Knox box on it?
What's that?
A Knox box, so that way any of the fire departments or even the police department can get in there. So you might want to might want to mount a Knox, look at mounting a Knox box in there on the pole.
that can be a discussion at your company, I guess, too.
Yeah.
What would be best?
I thought the intent of these were just if somebody's in that area and goes off, they just won't flip over it.
Yeah, it was brought up basically by a resident with young children around that area and just happened to be playing around that area and not having anything basically for safety around those locations.
And that was one of my concerns with the design here. We've got several knowledgeable people in the room. The fence company was talking about putting the posts, just pounding them in the dirt, no concrete to anchor them.
Right.
If they're placed beside the concrete wall. If they're put on top of the concrete, they'll be, I guess, tack-conned in the concrete, so that it would limit access, I guess, to the wall in my mind a little bit better, but I'm, just looking at feedback here. If you put the fence in front of the concrete, they could probably get around and still use it as a play area. And I think that's the goal here, to try and eliminate that. But,
My thought there, Jeff, is like as far as mowing or anything like that around that, if we install that directly on the ground, I mean, if whoever mows in there is possibly with a riding mower or anything like that, possibly down into the chain link fence, where on top really don't have any maintenance at all.
I think it limits access better than
Yes,
too, even
yes.
though it's more money, it's more and more of a safety factor. Was there any concern from the contractor about tapping into that?
No, and that was one of the questions when I kind of brought that idea up to him, and he basically just looked at every structure, and he basically said the concrete was very well maintained, very well, good shape to, that he would be okay with one there.
This is just a galvanized wire, not a plastic coated.
No, got it on chain link fence.
Yeah, it does.
So Mike, what were you indicating then in terms of?
The only thing I was, if there was a concern that we only got one number, I think the discussion was to go out and make sure we get a number and someone who does this on a regular basis so if your concern was, hey, why don't we look and see, maybe just take one of these, let's say we want to go with the top mounted on the concrete. We know our potential cost could be $5,270, but maybe we'll go out and see if another local company would want to give a number. If it came in under, we could move with that one. If they came in higher, we could move ahead with getting Agway in and get that orange fence away and get these things up and get it started. Right. So we know we're not going to exceed the 52.7. That's
Safety comments. That's good.
Wish of the board.
Any other audience feedback on this?
So does someone want to make that motion?
Yeah, I will. Make a motion to award the contract here for the fence at a price of no more than what, like 20,200? 5,000. 5,270.
Should my sketch make it work?
That's for top.
For a top.
Top now.
Top
installation. And do I hear a second? Second. We have a motion, you have a second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries.
So RC, just to clarify,
Yes,
that's
sir.
with another quote or another basic for,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, continuing my report here, repairing signs is needed. Road crew installed a new sign at 100 Hill Road for MS Four Stream Bank project. Sign was made by Forced Signs. Road crew installed do not block intersection sign on Church Street at Fountain Lane. Roadside mowing has continued, trimming around signs as well as tractor maintenance on a daily basis, trucking blades, washing tractor, and greasing components. Pool season 2021, roadmaster checks in weekly, daily to see if anything needs done. Water valve was leaking in the bathroom. This was fixed by Rack's Plumbing. Minor repairs to the coping around the baby pool was done by the road crew. This was fixed with concrete mix and fresh paint. Once the pool season is over, I would like to walk with the pool manager, Alan Fry, township manager, and members of the effort to put together a list of things that need to be repaired for the pool season of 2022. August 11th, 2021, road crew made minor repairs to the stream bank project at the office location located at 100 Hill Road. A small section had to be redone as some of the erosion has occurred with rainfall we've been having. Stony Point Playground road crew has installed the wedge needed to complete the inspection of this playground. It's now open to the public and inspection has been done. Road crew added topsoil, seed and straw matting around the entire playground to allow new grass to grow where the original, where the area was dug out when its installation began by the road crew. Road crew has touched up the Gaga pit at Stony Point with re-raking rubber chips and also fixing the matting underneath. This area will need to be addressed in the future with more rubber chips. As the material is very thin over there. Roadmaster projects currently working on, Roadmaster has met with a member of the railroad and Ken McCray out on site at Barton Spot Road to address concerns of the piping that is clogged and needs work done. This will help water not build up on the roadway once they take care of some of the issues that they need to take care of. Don from the railroad stated that he would be doing some work in the near future to help solve this problem. He stated he can hopefully get this taken care of by the end of August. Roadmaster will be working with Ken McCray, Becker Engineering in reference to the pipeline project. That Reamstown Heights development and a plan moving forward with that. A meeting was held on August 17th. Thursday, August 19th, 2021, Roadmaster and Township Manager met with PennDOT to discuss some intersection issues that would like to be resolved. We need to know if responsible when concerns come up at an intersection where an intersecting township road meets a state road, guardrail trimming, tree trimming, and other minor issues. This was very beneficial for me. Just kind of building that relationship with PennDOT and with all of our roads kind of intersecting here and there, just kind of understanding what they expect, what I expect, and then kind of working together to make both of our lives a little easier. Roadmaster crew member are scheduled to retake the pesticide exam on September 10th. Once that is following, the Roadmaster plans on taking these Class A CDL permit tests. Once I'm done basically concentrating on the pesticides right now up until September 10th. Once I retake that, then I plan to switch my focus to the Class A learner's permit in the very near future. Just to follow, a couple follow-up items here from the previous meeting. Colonel Howard Boulevard, where the bad pavement is by 222 on the on-ramp. PennDOT is aware of this and is in the design phase of fixing this problem area. Lesher Road at Colonel Howard Boulevard, PennDOT was unaware of this area. This is where the concrete little island all chipped up and all broken out into the driving lane. They are now aware of this. The assistant manager is reaching out and trying to find information on this, who's responsible for it, and what their plan of action will be moving forward. And last that I have is 51 Electric will adjust the timer on the timer switch to power on in the evening only, and not allow that timer switch to work during the day, so nobody can just go up during the daylight and turn the timer switch on. He's hoping next week sometime to add the timer to the tennis court, adjust the timer on the basketball court, and also replace the bulbs on lights in parking lot and one side of the basketball court, which is the regular street light. And that is the roadmaster report that I have.
Thank you. Okay, for any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
Jim came back, one of the lines gonna be painted in Rose Hill and,
They are, I'm still waiting on a tentative date from them. I talked to them again this week and they're trying to get us on the schedule as early as possible. They have all the information, all the measurements, and I just did not have a tentative date as of now.
it will follow it up.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Moving on, MS4 stormwater, have a full report at the September 2nd meeting. The treasurer's report, list of bills.
Okay, I guess to start out here, there was some question at the last meeting about an $80 bill. That was a bereavement gift. I had not received notification ahead of time. I was in error when I was stating other uses that could have been for. I did not know, but that was a bereavement gift. Okay, on the list of bills, we have a general fund of $677,977.31. I will make note of that 483,000 and some odd change is return of escrow. So that is money that was put in by a developer that was returned. So that changes the total significantly of what the bills are. So is there any question on the bills as presented? Okay, great. Hearing none, I make a motion, we pay them as presented.
Motion is second, all in favor? Opposed, none, the motion carries.
Okay. And we have a light fund of $13,084.68. Is there any questions there? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve. Thank you.
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, that motion carries.
Also, we have an electronic payment list of bills, which includes the payroll for the 2-week period of $86,043.43. Is there any questions there? Hearing none, I make a motion to approve.
I hear it's second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, none, that motion carries.
And one more, a general fund bank account in the amount of $52,660.91. Are there any questions there? Just as a point of clarification, that was a monthly healthcare payment. So hearing none, I make a motion to approve.
I'll second. There's a motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, none, the motion carries.
That concludes my report.
Okay, Nick.
Thank you. A couple things real fast, and there's two that are listed on the agenda, a couple that's popped up, just to keep in mind for everybody, with the change in law becoming effective later this month. We're gonna need to make sure that we keep all these items on the agenda coming back tonight. I don't think it's posted, so that we're going to be in compliant and not have things come on last second. But because we have some items that are last second issues, we're dealing with them now before like we would normally do so. So the first thing is the township received a letter from Roger Robert requesting a refund from the township for the 2021 Greastown pool membership. He was looking to use that for a therapeutical purpose. I indicated to him it's mostly a recreational type pool, and there weren't individual lap swims or really any adult swims that were there. He indicated he only went 3 times, and each time he was not able to do that, so he's requesting. My explanation was, again, that you really, particularly being that late in the season, we don't normally give refunds, at least I'm not aware, and again, that becomes within a scope of 2.5 months of being here, so we're not talking a great deal of time that I could reference. But I told him he could write a letter to the board and ask the board if the board would be willing to do it. His membership fee was $55, and there's a $3 processing fee, so we would just reimburse if we did $55. Don't know if you have in the past. This is really something that we haven't seen quite that often in my other employment. So he did present the letter, so I would present it to the board and see how you.
What was the date on that?
On
The letter.
the letter,
The request.
the request came in, I don't know if I have it here, I think it was the end of July. When we got it. Now, he was I guess he had some, I don't want to say repair debate, he was dealing with a medical issue, which necessitated after a period of time to go to a pool to rehab. And just this pool, when you go to a community pool, they're jumping in, you're not really going to get to do many laps. So I tried to explain that, all the pool is, we're trying to, never really breaks even, that we're trying to make sure it's something offered for the community, but he did have the right to submit his letter and we could respond accordingly. So $55 would be our charge if we send it back. It's really up to you.
So 2/3 of the way in the season.
Yeah, and I have no way of confirming if he was there or the refund. I did get the impression he was making that up, so.
Comments? Chairman should go last.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Would he be
I'm
falling
sorry.
under ADA?
I'm sorry, name please.
Oh, Kathleen O'Connell. Is there any ADA issues that he has that we may have to? worry
No,
about?
it's not an access issue, it's more of a personal use of what he was looking for versus what he actually.
Yeah, because you said it was therapeutic, so I'm
Yeah.
wondering, does he have ADA? Coverage?
Yeah, I think it's more of rehabilitation. So, yeah, there's nothing from our end, it's just, we don't get many of these, it's a minor thing, and they'd all be handled on a case by case basis anyway, so you don't have to worry about, hey, we offered one, and that means those are the floodgates, but at the same time, you keep consistent and say, you paid for it, we appreciate it, we wish you had a better time, you didn't. Move on.
You ever have a gym membership? Just curious. Look at me, I didn't go.
Thoughts? Use it for 2/3 of the season. Expect a full payback. I don't know too many businesses really get that. So, we're not talking about a large sum of money at $55. To Craig's point, when people sign up for gym memberships, you use it 3 times and keep paying too. So
I thought this was going to be easy one. That's why I started with build some momentum. So, yeah, I mean, just historically, we've done these where I've worked in my other capacity up to a certain point at the beginning of the season. And after that, the time is coming on and, we would hope you'd want to come back and enjoy the pool, but if you don't, maybe isn't the right place.
So you're either one. That's what I heard,
that's what, yeah.
right?
What's that?
I'm prorating it.
So do you have an opinion on it?
I don't think it takes a motion. I think it would only take a motion if you wish to spend money. In other words, spend money and send it back. I don't wish to spend money and send it back, so I don't see the need for a motion.
It's just a decision. So your decision will be?
I do hope he enjoyed himself. And I hope he comes back.
My opinion is it's an unfortunate situation. However, due to the timing involved, and the amount of time that passed from when he got his pool pass to when we came into 2/3 of the season, unfortunately, we just should not be, in my opinion, reimbursing those funds.
That's fine.
Okay. All right, good.
Quick
Yes,
question
sir.
on that, Alan Maxwell. Do we have any wording in the pool regulations, rules, bylaws, when they apply for membership that states no refunds will be given after a certain date or no refunds will be given?
I don't believe there's anything written that applies to that. Because it's really a very good bang for your buck. If you go to a movie, you're gonna spend $55 in movie fees and popcorn, whereas you can spend $55 and go to the pool, 70 times during the summer. So it's really never been, and it's so infrequent that it's asked that it's just a rarity.
Yeah. But from a resident standpoint, I would say it would be good PR to say, yes, we understand you expected a certain thing and didn't get it. And with everything going on in the township right now, and there's a lot of black eyes for the township right now, it'd be a minor win as far as PR is concerned, that the township is open to that, and goodwill towards the community. But then I would also suggest that the pool also put something in their rules stating that no refunds will be given after this date, so that it's clear in there and you set precedent moving forward. Then you have something hard and fast to fall back on when someone comes at this point of the season, when there are rules that you sign clearly state.
Thank you.
Okay, second item, which I have on the agenda and really looking to see, again, to kind of build on some of that with our transportation and some of the improvements we're doing. We've had, as we kind of deliberated on some of the TIF issues and the capital improvement projects and the monies that we have now accounted for as to what's in that fund and what we've used it for in the past, what we can maybe use for the future. A couple of projects had jumped out on that plan early on, one being the intersection of Church Street and 272, and looking at possibly trying to make sure that we put together a plan to use some of these monies to hopefully leverage other monies, but also to begin to make some of these improvements that we have put on our capital plan. So really what I'm looking to do is to see if the board would be willing to authorize me to request from the township transportation engineer a proposal to design, engineer, bid the proposed capital improvements at Church Street and SR 272. Really, the goal is to develop that to get a cost to see what that's going to be, and to begin to develop that project plan once that we can look into as we get into the budget season, what monies we have available, what monies we may be able to use for this. But also then to begin to put together that background information that when a grant does come up, we may be able to jump quickly and get ourselves inserted into that and the possibility of leveraging monies that way. So at this point, not looking to spend any money per se, just trying to move ahead to get a cost estimate for what that would be. And then we can budget accordingly as we hope to go into 2022. The best thing would be if we can lay this out so that once something does come up, we can move and try and at least get ourselves in there. Whether it's for a grant, whether it's to get our information to the county, we've already started those conversations with county transportation people to say we have these issues. Here's what we have coming in East Cocalico. Here's why we're important, and like to be able to put something a little more concretely than just an intersection improvement at Church at 272. So any thoughts?
It's the right thing to do,
Oh,
because we're being proactive at that point.
Right. Yeah, it just opens up our opportunities.
well, it is an intersection with a very well documented accident history. And I admit I live in that end of the township, so I do go through there frequently, but I think it is definitely in need, and I champion it jumping to the top of the list. I think so that maybe business owners don't have to read about it in the paper. I would suggest touching base pretty soon with the four corners. The Sun Plus is now at 7-Eleven, but I would touch base so that if they hear something, they see something, they see surveyors or whatever, they've already been given notice and have an idea of what's going on as opposed to hearing the rumor.
Yeah, it's a good point. It impacts them directly, and if anything, we want this to be a successful project. We want them on board as part of that project.
Yes, sir.
She's being controlled for 20 years, and being employed for 24 plus. May I request part of that be looking at a traffic circle for that intersection?
Oh, roundabout.
Yes. They're successful in other places that have been through them. They can light out, run red light crashes, etc. That's the thought.
RC,
Yes, sir.
probably 10 or 15 years ago, I was looking at the files for that, and there was a design put together for improvements at that intersection. So they're in a file somewhere. I don't know how old it is or whether it's still relevant, but that was already designed once.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Ken. Mike, we can check the archives.
Yeah, I mean, I talked to the transportation engineer today as I was just preparing for this, and there have been different phases, like there was a grant submitted at one time for just the traffic, the signal itself. Yeah, I guess this is maybe depending on what's there, what has changed, what we're seeing now number wise. That's always good comparable background information, but I'm sure they're gonna say 15-year-old data might be something we could build off of, but we're gonna be putting something else together, so. But yeah, we'll pull, Township does a very good job of keeping a lot of things on file and accessible through the system, so that's a good thing. So we can try and pull out whatever we have to make this easier. It's just, again, a chance to kind of keep moving forward. So I will contact them, get something official, and then we'll have this review as we go into budget season as to what that may mean moving forward. Okay. Next, Township Solicitor RFP update. The township has received, as of today, 2 additional RFPs. One from Nicholas Owen, And then the other from Morgan, Auburn, Crosswell, and King. So we have received Pryor, Russell, Kraft, and Gruber, Kozlov, Down attorneys, and Hartman, Valeriano, McGovern, and Lutz. So the 5 proposals will be distributed to the board, because you guys have just got it in for the meeting, the last 2. And then we will begin quick turnaround to start to go through those, because we're now getting into September, and we were hoping to have some potential carryover with our current system right now. Zoning and code.
I'm sorry, Ralph, just for procedural perspective, do you want some preliminary independent feedback from us after we review that?
Yeah, I
Some
think,
thoughts
and
individually?
maybe even if you want to rank, instead of having to meet with all 5, we may narrow it down.
To the top 3.
Yeah, and then we can work off of that as well.
Okay. And then give us the action item 2 in terms of what you would prefer in terms of timeline.
You want that now?
Yeah.
Well, as soon as possible.
I knew you were gonna say Friday morning, 9 o'clock.
No, I don't want to see anybody tomorrow morning. Anyway, it's been a long week, so maybe we'll move that to next week at some point. So I mean, you guys tell me, you're gonna have to look through 5 of them. If that's gonna take you guys a week to do it, 4 days, maybe the weekend. It's not
I
gonna-
have the weekend and Monday,
Weekend's fine.
I can look through it.
All right, so then I'll circle back and get into next week, see what the schedules are, and we'll see where we
Yeah,
go.
because I looked at the other 3 already, I have all my notes written down, so it's just looking at those.
Okay. Good. Okay, zoning and code, we had submitted a proposal to look at where we want to go next with our zoning and code department. Right now, we do have a contract with an agency to provide interim services, which is part-time during the week. Fortunately, we're able to keep up with all. I hope nobody has submitted a permit and hasn't been able to take that permit. I think we've been processing those through in a very efficient way. But looking at more of a long-term issue and how this is going to fit into the overall scope of the township and where we want to go, not only from the zoning end, but also from a land development, planning, sort of director, development, those types of things. So that we're linking all this together, our zoning, our code, our future growth, our transportation, how is this all interacting with each other? And that's a point now that we have a void that we need to begin to fill. So I would like to have the authorization, I guess I would like to do to kind of keep this moving in a very efficient way. And I don't know where the board is with the proposal for the 2 different positions, but we'd like to at least begin the process to advertise for those so that we can then see what type of applicants we get in and determine what next steps we're going to want to take. We're holding on now. We're keeping our head above water. There's a lot of activity. There's a lot of things that are coming into the township that want to make sure we don't fall behind and miss an opportunity. So the timing is of the essence to get this done.
Yeah, I follow your thought there, Mike. It looks like, with the ABI and zoning here, yeah, I've noticed it too. You're keeping your head above water, but, barely.
Right.
I looked at your zoning description and proposal, and looks like there's a lot of similarities to what is there currently with the zoning department. I see that as kind of a no-brainer to move forward with that. Looking at your other community development person, I see that need in the building as well. When Mike's working here on a part-time basis, he's running himself ragged in a week's time trying to keep up, and having some additional hands there to deal with some of these more ancillary items, I think is only going to make the whole process go a little smoother. I kind of see this more as a 2-step process, but I'm receptive to hear what you gentlemen have to say on that as well. I think moving ahead with finding that permanent zoning officer is something we need to get going on.
So you call it a community development person. I call it, from the old engineering world, it really is, it's a project manager. That's the way I look at it. We really need, one of the things we talked about in the past with the prior board was there were so many things going on in so many different areas and so many departments, such as zoning, planning. There needs to be more overlap and there needs to be more of a holistic view of exactly what we're doing and how we're doing it and where we're going as a municipality. We just didn't have that in the past. So I see it as a project manager position. If it's community development person, that's fine, but the way I envision, if we go down this path, it's what is the zoning office doing? How does the zoning office overlap with what exactly is planning doing? Is planning pulling together and looking at what they're doing? Is it what we're looking to do strategically as a municipality in terms of the direction we're looking to go over a 5-year plan, a 7-year plan, a 10-year plan? So what I'm saying, Mike, is I like the idea. It makes a lot of sense, and again, as at the prior board, we discussed this a few times because it's definitely needed.
Yeah, the cross training was something that was identified a year or two ago, that was something that we didn't really have with a lot of the positions in the building. The boots one, and there wasn't anybody able to step in and really know the position and handle it. And I think we've done quite a bit of good things there with some of the back office people, with Judy, Shirley, some of the others, where there's the ability to step in. There's some familiarity with the positions. I think that's good, and to have that in the zoning planning could only be helpful.
Yeah, and the goal is to keep us moving, obviously, not to be in a position where we're just hanging on or meeting what we need to kind of get ahead of that curve as much as we can. This is an important township for the county. A lot of stuff you can see by what's proposed coming in here, where we're located, and we can really kind of transition ourselves into sort of leading that charge while we're accomplishing what we want to do with. But it takes some resources to do that, and a whole different mindset of doing it. So that's kind of what, I've seen some other townships, as I put in the proposal, we've done some similar things, some bigger ones that are growing as well. And it's kind of making sure that people can know what the rules are, follow the rules, get their permits, and at the same time, how that all sort of melds into what direction the board is setting for where we want to go as a municipality.
So, any other thoughts? Okay.
So we'll move ahead then with that? Yeah. And we'll see what we get, and we will then decide if this direction is where we want to
Good question.
Yes, sir.
Who does your follow-ups now when you're zoning?
go. Who does our follow, what do you mean follows? Like inspections?
Yes.
Well, the zoning officer will go back out.
Well, then the people who don't have permits, get stuff done, who follows up on that stuff?
If someone does stuff without a permit,
Yes.
then the zoning officer would follow up on that as well. So if you see a neighbor, or if you see something that's going on and you have a question, then the zoning officer would then look into that situation.
Well, you don't do a good job of it now.
Well, we have, what do you mean? I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. You've called in and reported someone and no one's followed up on it, that's what you're saying?
I'm just asking, who's gonna do the follow-up work? Okay, just one person can't be a zoning officer. Okay, he's gotta have somebody else to go out and follow up on it.
It's part of the job description.
Right.
To follow up.
Well, you've gotta have people to do the job, okay?
Right.
Okay, they can't have bias this and bias that. You've gotta do the job. That's what the problem is today. People don't do jobs. I'm asking you, who follows up?
I'm not sure I understand the bias part. I mean, what we're looking to do is bring people on board to do a couple different functions. One is to see the overall planning part of it, and the other is to also serve in a zoning and code office. So if you wanted to get a permit, you would come in and deal with that department. If there's an issue, with what you submitted, or you do something different, then that would be the enforcement arm that would go out and look at that. So that's the follow-up part. I don't understand the bias part.
No, I'm just asking because people don't do the follow-ups. I know that for a fact.
People don't do the follow-ups
That's correct.
here?
Yes.
Okay, well, the goal is to make sure we have the proper procedures in place to take care of that. I don't know if you have a specific issue, you're more than welcome to discuss that with me afterwards, and I'll follow up with seeing what happened with that, but I don't know the general statement which you're making, I'm not quite sure. So feel free to.
I'm just asking a question, who's doing the follow-up work now? Because you can't just have somebody do something and then turn your face the other way. I mean, you gotta have somebody to do the job. That's what it boils down to. Doing a job to get it done.
Okay.
That's the problem we have today in this society. People just turn their heads and they don't follow through with nothing.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll lead by example.
If you're interested in somebody,
Has been developed for that.
Once we fully understand whether there's an actual need for that, and does that make sense? We're not at that step yet.
Well, I thought that's what he was just proposing, is to take that step to start that process.
Yeah, what was proposed was to do both, and then as we get those in, we could determine which direction we want to go. That's my proposal to try and.
Just wanted the clarity, thank you.
Are you guys all right with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Next item is Eagle disposal recycling concerns. I guess you guys have seen, there was, and I don't know how many people in the crowd at Eagle disposal, they indicated they would not be able to pick up recycling from their customers, and I think have proposed that you could take that down to the sites down in Lancaster if you want to drop your recycling off. The concern is obviously, we want people to recycle in the community. There's an environmental benefit to it. There's also a financial benefit to the township to make sure it's recycled. We went through this issue also in Denver Borough recently and some other communities in the area that are responding. I contacted the representative from Eagle Disposal, and he indicated they just have a crunch in regard to people to be able to go out and pick these things up. So we said, well, that's fine, but we still need to get done what we need to get done. So they proposed providing a 20-yard roll-off dumpster here at the River Township building for people to bring recycling materials. And then they would come in each week, take that out, pump it, and then return it at no cost to the township. They did propose this also in Denver Borough as well, because I think obviously there's more customers at Eagle in the township than there are in Denver. Our concern was we didn't want 1,000 people who are contracted with them now putting all the recycling in the trash, and we're not getting any credit for it. So I indicated that I would talk with the board today and see if you guys were comfortable with that. That would start next week, and they asked to have it run until October 1st, when they felt they would have enough time to get their staffing back up to the level to collect as they normally do.
What normally happens with plastic recyclables on a windy day is they start moving around. This container wouldn't really have any containment.
It'd be like a standard roll-off.
Yeah.
I don't anticipate we're gonna fill that size of a roll-off every week with recycling. Because again, we're still depending on people coming to the township building to drop those off. It's just an alternative better than going all the way down into Lancaster, you know? And when we did follow up with the Loxwama about this, you know, they essentially were just saying that, you know, maybe if residents call and complain, we suggest that they change and go to a different service provider. If this is going to be an interim period, the alternative, the thought was offering an alternative that at least keeps that recycling flowing and allows them to get back up to speed, and then we don't have an issue where people are not following through with recycling.
I just don't understand, is they put a ton of recycling in the back of their SUV or the Toyota
Yeah.
4Runner or the RAV4 I don't.
It may be few, but for those who want to, it's no cost to us. The other issue was contraband. I said, let's say someone puts something in their couch or trash. You know, that's at their expense, not at the township's expense or the borough's expense to do that.
I don't want to sit down there watching video and figure out it.
Yeah,
Right.
they're going to just dispose of it, and that's the word. You know, in Denver Borough, it was presented that they had an action plan in place in 2 weeks, where the borough was going to pull their license to collect in the borough until they could get that resolved. Now, the issue there is then you have to communicate that with 100 people who are contracting, and here that might be 10 times that. And then how do we deal with those 2 weeks that trash has been sitting out and not collected, and then we're starting around that way, so.
Thoughts?
Give it a try for 30 days. They wanted the end of September window.
Yeah, they said October 1st, they would be back.
Give it a try for 30 days.
Question in the back.
Jim Kinback, the people that have Eagle in East Cocalico, I'm sure were notified that they're not picking up recycling, because I have neighbors that use them and they just don't put their recycling out. They're probably just throwing all the recycling in the garbage.
Right.
People are not gonna come here to recycle.
Well, the part of it as well is that they would have to notify their customers of this opportunity,
Well, I think most people already know it.
that they can bring the recycling here.
No, that
that's the
they're not
part.
recycling at all.
Right. So the issue becomes then, do you?
But
say-
there's even times where Eagle isn't even picking up at all. I see that on the Adamstown thing on Facebook.
Right.
They're not even coming in a week for garbage, let alone recycling. So I think you should suspend them. They're not doing the job.
Then you have the trash sitting there for 2 weeks and we're gonna get called. That they're not picking it up.
Well, they're not doing it now.
They're not picking it up. So I've seen it on Allen Maxwell. I've seen it on James Drive, where trash sits out there this week and they have to go out 2 days later when they have to pick it up, drag it in, drag it back out next week and hope they pick it up. First thing. The second thing is goods disposal's already stopped picking up separated recycling. They throw it all in one truck. They said to take it down to the transfer station and it's sorted out down there. So they're not even separating it anymore when they pick it up because it would save cost. To Mr. Mitchell's point.
Well,
Yes, they
just when they come to my driveway, the recycling goes and the trash truck comes
Yeah.
an hour.
Right, now I'm saying, but the recycling is no longer mixed. They no longer pick it up mixed. They said they throw it all into one truck.
Yeah.
And it is parted away.
Yes.
But to Mr. Mitchell's point of trash flowing out of it and stuff, I can say for a fact, I have plastic bottles blow out of my recycling bins on the side of my house with the winds we've had lately. You get an open top down there and this wind is coming across like it's been, it's gonna act like a wind tunnel, scoop it up and fill it all over. Who's gonna be responsible for picking that up and cleaning that up in the back parking lot?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's the issue, but your recycling containers, 2 foot, And this is maybe about 5 years.
Blows trash out of those top dumpsters.
Yeah.
And then blows trash out, so paper and stuff comes out of those top dumpsters and trash.
Yeah, I mean, if the options are, this was a free service to try and provide an alternative, if we don't do anything, that recycling is just something we put in the trash and we'll take it out that.
Lorraine Cole, as far as your recycling for the township goes, don't you have to keep an account of how much plastic versus aluminum cans versus steel? I work for recycling and I send the reports out each year. How are you going to determine how much of each you're sending if to put in a container? And the size of the 20-yard container is 4 foot high.
Yeah, I don't know if the township separates that out. That just gets taken, and they had indicated they would provide weight slips to the township to be able to use as part of our recycling calculation.
I do know when East Cocalico Township calls me for a report, I have to break down anything the township brings in as far as what type of material it was on their form and send it back to them, so you get the credit for having the township using the recycling program.
Yeah, I don't know if the County Solid Waste Management Authority provides that same breakdown. The charts I've seen have just provided weights of recyclable materials, and that's assigned to each municipality, and then you get a credit.
And the next question is is Eagle going to weigh the thing? We have a contract with Effort Borough to weigh their trash company, which right now is Eagle. And I've not seen an Eagle truck come across my scale in 6 months to weigh the material. So, I mean, you gotta watch.
Or alternatives are bad or worse, you know, I mean, you do nothing and nothing happens. We don't have to go this route, it's just there was an opportunity
Did they give us any indication of a plan for a timeline or corrective actions on their end to get their operation up and
their plan?
they
They anticipated that they need to October 1st in order to bring on the staff needed to be able to provide the service.
So they've indicated it's a purely staffing issue, is what they're indicating. My one concern here is if there is material that is dumped in that container that should not be there, I do not want to see the township have any liability whatsoever for what's in that container.
Right. Yeah, I think we termed it, well, Denver Borough termed it as contraband. Any contraband in there is that's kind of a crazy word, but it is the responsibility of legal disposal and not of any cost to the borough.
Example, like old paint cans that still have a third of the paint in there that have been sitting in the garage for 2.5 years.
Right. Yep. I mean, it's definitely, there's an opportunity for someone to, but you get that sometimes when you're doing the living. Donations where people stuff everything in there that they shouldn't be just because they're putting it in the bag, so. I mean, again, we don't have to do it, it just was an idea of how do we deal with this issue now, maybe of those 1,000 people who contract Eagle, they're down to 800 now, I don't know, you know. The market you would think would take care of if someone, you're paying someone to pick up your trash and they don't do it, you're not gonna keep paying, do it.
Personally, I'd like to know how many contracts they have in East Cocalico.
I asked them that,
Oh, you
and
did?
the information I got, I don't feel comfortable with, because they had indicated 1,200 customers in East Cocalico. Here is I mean, there are 1,200 customers in Denver Borough and 1,000 customers in East Cocalico. It doesn't make sense, because Denver Borough requires a listing of all contracted, but each trash hauler has to provide a property that's contracted with. So Goods will provide them, Eagle, all 5 will do that. And I went through theirs and it was 107. So I don't feel comfortable with either one of those numbers.
Wow. Give them the boot and open the door to someone else.
Yep.
And now there are other people in the township that you could contract with. It's not, we don't have a single hauler contract.
No, we do not. We have, I mean, just in our neighborhood, I've seen goods, I've seen waste management.
Right.
I've seen a number of them.
And I guess we were kind of hoping that the county would step up as well and say, hey, you need, this is your requirement, you need to do it. The county solid waste management authority, their response was essentially tell your residents to go with a different provider if they aren't happy. So that's why on the one end, it was put in from, the Denver was looking to do one thing, and then the gentleman from Eagle has proposed a similar short-term solution if the township was interested.
If, I'd say give them a 30-day window, but part of it will mean educating our constituents and about the time that word gets out in a quality fashion, if Eagle is successful in what they want to do, then we'll have to educate them back to a different direction. To what end?
It could very well be a very lightly used dumpster. That's the thing with.
Yes, sir.
Alan Maxwell again, if they are an approved vendor for the township and they're not meeting their obligations, can the township not give them a set deadline that you will meet these obligations by this time or you were done?
Yeah, you have to go through it, and if you're gonna collect solid waste in the township, you have to meet the township's ordinance. So essentially, they would get if you wanna call it a license to be able to operate, there's no fee for it, but there's a license to operate, and if they're not meeting that, the one way of doing that would be to revoke that license either temporarily.
I would say.
But then the issue you get there is if you do have 1,000 customers, you need to make sure you're able to notify them so that they don't have trash piling out and then they're calling the township saying, this trash has been here, they're not picking it up, what am I supposed to do? What do I do? And then you don't want to be 3 weeks in saying, you need to contact A, B, C, or D. That may take another 2 weeks, and then we have a big issue that.
They're already at least 30 days into failing to follow what they committed to do. They've created an issue already, and they're already one of the higher ones in the township and the most restrictive in what they will or will not let you do. So if they're not following that already, there's got to be something the township can do based on that approved vendor status to give them that deadline, step up or step off.
And the township has 7, according to what Lisa provided me, 7 registered trash haulers in 2021 for the Eagle. Goods, JBS, Purple Heart, Public Waste Industries, previously Lebanon, and Waste Management.
Another question.
I was gonna say what Alan just said about this probably has already been 30 days that they haven't done their job. And to give them another 30 days, especially in the heat, this garbage is sitting out there. I think you should just tell people to look for another company. I've never had a problem with goods and I've had them
The
for
key
20
is
years.
how do we easily tell people to look for a different company? I don't even know who's contracted with. So.
Well, the consumer's an independent consumer.
That's
They're
right.
making their own decision.
Right.
So they can proactively make that decision on their own. They don't need, my opinion is I don't need the government telling me what I need to do next.
And put it on the township website, effective this date. Eagle Disposal was no longer an approved vendor for the township. Please act accordingly. Here are the other approved vendors to contact. Put it in the newsletter, add it to the newsletter.
I just don't see how someone would not look for another vendor and sit on that garbage for a month, sit on those recyclers for a month. I am overly concerned personally about the liability associated with what goes into that container. Then we get into an issue where they come pick up the container, there's 200 pounds of paint cans in there of various materials with no labels on them. We don't know if they're lead-based, we don't know if they're oil-based, we don't know if they're water-based. And then I can just, And to the chief's point, I can just see the department being asked, start looking at the camera. I think the best thing we can do for our residents, and I agree with our resident here, is to put a notice on the website. We understand you may be having trouble. You know, we encourage you to exercise your right and feel free to.
And here are the other 6 that are licensed.
Here's the 6 licensed others. Here's all the licensed companies in East Cocalico. That's probably the best thing we should do for the residents.
And Goods is very responsive. If somebody reached out to them in this situation, they will get them on board.
You know, they're educated consumers. They can make that decision on their own.
Yeah, and you would think that a lot of that would have happened already. Or should have happened. I mean, but some of the stories I'm hearing is, I still am with Eagle and I had to have my trash picked up 3 weeks ago, you know. So I don't know how often they're making, or who's all making that decision. But yeah, we will not ask for the dumpster. We will put the notice on the website, as we mentioned about the, essentially the other service providers that are available.
We provide all 7 of them. These are your current licensed providers. If you're having any issues whatsoever, exercise your rights and they can intelligently pick their own.
I still give them until October 1 to make that decision and then cut their license, or?
I think we should send them a formal notice. My opinion that it's unacceptable what they're doing. And
I have a letter already drafted.
All right.
Excellent. Excellent. I mean, gentlemen.
Yeah. We don't want to overstep our bounds, but we gotta, can't ignore the problem.
Well, I think that if we were sole, it was the sole service provider, but to simply be able to tell those constituents, here are others who are licensed to do this. And then look at them, don't look at them, just govern yourself accordingly.
Okay. All right, just 2 quick things. Our TIF committee met on the 9th, and during that meeting, it was discussed that the committee now has, as a transportation impact fee advisory committee, has 6 active members. The ordinance requires between 7 and 15 members. During that meeting, the chair had indicated that there were a couple people who are interested, Josh Benton, Crystal Setsnick, and they were in attendance at that meeting, and Jeff Lee, who had expressed interest via email, but I haven't received anything yet. That I did get a letter from Ms. Setsnick about her interest, and thought I would reach out to the other 2 to make sure they provide a background letter for you guys to discuss and consider it for maybe meeting in September. It appeared that during that committee meeting that the Transportation Advisory Committee, I didn't stay the whole meeting, but I was there for the first part when I introduced them, that it looked like they were proposing and introducing them for consideration to fill these vacancies. So I will just follow up on that part, just to make sure we also have some information about those interested, even invite them to the meeting, and then you get a chance to meet them and see if we get that board up to in that level. And then the PennDOT maintenance meeting that Brett had mentioned today went really well. I think the communication part, they were very happy to meet with us to talk about these things, as opposed to us bringing them in and saying, hey, why aren't you doing this? And this isn't working, or causing a big thing, bringing up one of our state representatives in. But as a sidebar to that, we talked about the issue that came up last meeting about Colonel Howard Boulevard and the petition there. And they did go back and look and see that, which is pretty interesting. I did share this with our transportation engineer and with Becker Engineering, that there are 2 projects right now on Colonel Howard that are being discussed. And one is a resurfacing of that, which is a 2023 calendar year project. And then the other one, which is a little more long-term, And this has a let date of 2029, is the big improvement to the intersection down there of a possible diverging dive. So we aren't off the radar altogether just yet. We are still on there, and now hopefully our goal is to keep moving that around to bump it up a little bit sooner than where we are. So I just thought it was interesting that we got that. I thought it was a good sign that we haven't been left off, and we'll keep pushing and pushing to make sure that that issue remains a big issue for the county and for PennDOT.
Just for clarification, Mike, that really rough stretches of blacktop there, they are gonna deal with that.
Yeah, well, they indicated, and Brett, you speak this language more than I do, the concern was that the overlay was very thin.
Right.
And they were concerned if they get that off, they were going to be creating other areas of concern. So at the time, they weren't quite sure when this was scheduled for, but the comment was, if this is going to be further down the road, we can't wait 2 more years for this to happen, that they would then look at trying to address these problem areas and trying to fix those essentially.
I would hope.
So I think that's what we're going to push that came off of our meeting, in that we don't want to wait till 2 more years from now to be able to not have that little wait for 1 car.
I was hoping we'd see it in a month or 2.
Mhm.
It is really bad there, a couple stretches. Instead I had smoother farm lanes. So anyway, okay.
All right, and then the last thing, I think support finance is the last thing. They sent the new snow removal agreement out. It's the same as it's been each year. It's just essentially the new dollar figures that are calculated in. The reimbursement to the township will be $14,106.77. So I filled in the forms today. I mean, it's pretty simple, 3 forms. It has contact information and an area for the chair to sign off. And if the board is willing, we could have a motion to authorize the chairperson of the board of supervisors to execute the 2021-2022 winter maintenance agreement between Eastern Halifax Township and PennDOT. The unique feature of it is I read the paperwork and it's due tomorrow, August 20th. So it will be right on time if we move in that direction.
So just for full disclosure clarification, so the roads haven't changed, they continue to be Smokestown's Road, Smokestown Road, Reinhold's Road, Muddy Creek Road. And the snow lane miles on Smokestown is 4.6 miles, just over 4 miles, 4.5 miles. Reinhold's Road is 4.1 miles and Muddy Creek Road is 5.1 miles. And none of that has changed from last time.
No, the only thing changes the reimbursement.
Right.
So it's about $1,000 a month.
Rate per, $1,022.23. So. Need a motion, any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Just about what you were
Name,
saying,
I'm
I'm
sorry.
sorry, June, came back. When you were saying before about talking to PennDOT, did you find out if are there trucks that are parked on Howard Boulevard?
I didn't ask them that.
Oh, okay.
Meaning they're,
The big yellow trucks.
okay. Yeah, I did not ask them.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
That's all right. Thank you. I appreciate all that you've done.
I looked at them. Did they say something like Clark K or something like that?
They have a company that's boring under 222 to run whatever. Those aren't PennDOT trucks.
Okay, I know there's a boring company on the turnpike too.
I think it's all in that area.
Thank you.
Okay, so Mike, I will make a motion that the Board of Supervisors execute the municipal snow removal contract for 2021 to 2022 with PennDOT.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries.
Thank you.
That's all.
Okay.
So some new business informational. I have here a letter of resignation I'd like to read. This is from Sid Schlegel. Schlegel. Oh, sorry, Sid. Mr. Carrasco, I hereby resign my position as planning commission member effective August 24, 2021. I am moving out of the township. It has been my pleasure to have the privilege to have served these many years on the planning commission. Sincerely, Sid. I will say, I've dealt with Slade a little bit. He's a phenomenal person. Craig and I were talking just before the meeting started. I was just entering my 30s when Sid began on the planning commission. He has been here 23 years, 23 or 24 years on the planning commission. So Doug, I think he predated you. Is that true?
That would have been after he served so many years on the school board, though.
Yeah, you're right, I don't know that very, I don't know, yet, he was very active in the community.
Active in the church, active, Eastern Cocalico line member for north of 50 years. It's a very nice house. It's going to be for sale on. They're looking to downsize. That's what they're doing.
They just had their 69th wedding anniversary. Wow. 69 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're downsizing. I think. What do you think he has? 3.5 acres there?
Yeah, I think.
Roughly. So if you're looking for a nice. Hey. I wish him the best. They really do. Good guy.
So I'd like to make a motion that we accept the resignation of Sid with regrets. Wish him all the best. From the planning commission.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Motion carries. Public comments, non-agenda items. Again, please just state your name because, yes, sir.
Mr. Haas, technology is wonderful. The car should be moved tomorrow on Horseshoe Drive. The car should be moved tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Thank you, Chief.
RC. We have one question or comment on Zoom in the chat.
Okay.
And this is from Donnie from the fire department. I just wanted them to know we got the grant for the air packs. Just wanted to thank them for them paying for the grant writer.
Outstanding. Thank you.
Mhm.
That was for the public's knowledge. We went ahead and paid for the grant writer last year for the volunteer fire departments to help them get a professional grant writer for their air packs. So it sounds like it was a successful submission and grant.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that was a FEMA grant, wasn't it, for over $295,000. So that'll supply air packs, new air packs for all three companies. So, yeah, job well done there, guys.
Thank you, Chief, for reminding me of that. Okay, questions, non-agenda items, comments? Yes, sir.
Doug Mackley. I'm gonna go back to a June 17th meeting. When the board came out of the executive session, we were discussing personnel issues. And the motion was to pay Tony Luongo his total amount of accrued time for personal time, sick time, and vacation through his final day of work. As I remember, the sick leave policy in the employee manual, the high points of that policy are that all full-time employees are entitled to 12 days of annual sick leave. A total of 80 days of sick leave may be accumulated. And upon voluntary termination, which Tony did, the township will buy back 15%. I want you all to remember that 15% of an employee's sick leave. I filed a right to know request, and I was made aware of the payout to Tony a while ago for his sick leave. He had accumulated 616 hours. Now, the policy says the township will buy back 15% of that. That's 92.4 hours. His pay rate is $32.03 an hour. That's what it works out to be salary, but the pay rate is that. So 92.4 hours times $32.03 is $2,959.57. This board of supervisors saw fit to ignore the policy, and you paid him $19,730.48. You paid him his total accrued amount. You ignored the 15% buyback. So the difference is $16,770.91. And I kind of find it interesting. I'm sitting here listening to this meeting tonight, and you guys want to spend 25 minutes trying to figure out how to save $1,200 on a bid. Craig made a comment about a disservice to the community. He doesn't want to have anything to do with that. And Jeff stated we don't want to overstep our bounds. So why was the employee handbook ignored? I'm asking the board as a group. I'll pull you one at a time if I have to. Why was that ignored? Why did you pay this gentleman $16,000 of my money more than he was entitled to? On his sick leave only. I'm not even talking about the other stuff. We can sit here all night, because I'm not getting off the floor until he gets some answers. You guys have talked about transparency so many times. And you know, you tried to slide this thing under and you got caught. And only because I listened to the whole tape of the meeting. Had I not heard that word total, that's what set me up. And I thought, what are they talking about total?
Is this another settlement situation to move somebody out so that they didn't have anything on you guys? Seems to happen a lot here lately.
I'm not picking on Tony. You gentlemen are aware that policy exists, correct? Employee manual, that's still in effect. You haven't changed the manual, have you?
Manual we were working on, Doug, is still a draft manual.
So the old one's still in effect,
Yes, sir.
and the 15% is still in effect. I think it's embarrassing if you people just go ahead and spend our money. You know, you set yourself up for, you've opened a real ugly door. And I can go on and explain how it should come back to bite you, but I think I would hope you're smart enough to understand that. You've had people retire from here before. You better hope they were treated the same.
Alan Maxwell, the longer the silence continues, the speaking volumes. For a long time, this township has had an issue with transparency and openness in dealing with residents. And this just goes right back to that. You're hiding something.
Mr. Maxwell, you don't need to make accusations.
I'm
which-
just stating how I
Mr.
feel.
Maxwell, you do not need to make legal accusations of which you have zero documented supporting data.
I'm not making an
This
accusation.
is
I'm
not-
telling you how it
These
seems, the
meetings are
appearance
not,
that it is.
these meetings are not Facebook posts.
I'm not trying to make it a Facebook post. I'm trying to get answers from our township supervisors and we're being stonewalled.
And I am protecting this municipality by stating we need to be very, very careful with the comments we use in these meetings.
And I think we as township need to be very, very careful with how our township supervisors are acting and the amount of people they're leaving, getting more money than they should by township policy. Protect the township? No, I think there's something else going on personally. That's my opinion. And I'm allowed to speak my opinion in a public session. But the longer the silence goes on, the longer we're stonewalled when we ask questions, the more questions are gonna be asked and the more we're gonna dig.
Thank you. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
The meeting we had in July,
Name,
Alan
please.
Fry, I'm sorry. Sorry. Meeting we had in July was very confrontational. And when I was leaving the meeting, I said something that I shouldn't have said, and somebody heard me and took offense to that, so I am publicly apologizing for what I said at that meeting. And I hope that the person will take my apology. Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. The next Board of Supervisor meeting will be held on Thursday, September 2nd at 7 p.m. in person and again via Zoom. Just a note for the public, please remember this one's the one that's held at the Smokestown Fire Company. So we're making our tour of the fire companies. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourn. Thank you.